me stop this. Okay, and I see her. See her there. Hello, Dr. Kung.
Good morning, Dan.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you for making some time today. And I'll give a quick introduction to you, which some people may have seen, and I welcome you to add anything that we might have missed or something that you really like to highlight. But truly, your resume is quite dramatic and interesting, and I would like everyone to know exactly who they're going to be hearing from in the next couple minutes. So please indulge me while I talk you up, Dr. Kung. Dr. Harriet Kung is the Deputy Director for Science Programs in the Office of Science at the U.S. Department of Energy. The Office of Energy's mission, the Office of Science's mission is to deliver the scientific discoveries and major scientific tools that transform our understanding of nature and advance the energy, economic, and national security of the United States. The Office of Science accomplishes its mission and advances national goals by supporting the frontiers of basic research, the world's largest suite of major scientific user facilities, and science for energy and the environment. So as Deputy Director for Science Programs, Dr. Kung is the senior career official providing scientific and management direction and oversight for the Office of Science research programs, including the Advanced Scientific Computing Research, Basic Energy Sciences, Biological and Environmental Research, Fusion Energy Sciences, High Energy Physics, and Nuclear Physics. Many of you on the webinar today are working in these facilities that Dr. Kung is overseeing and helping set guidance for, and I know that's part of why your presence here, Dr. Kung, is so alluring to everybody. Dr. Kung served as the Office of Science Associate Director for Science for Basic Energy Sciences, BES, from June 2008 to April 2020, and as the Materials Sciences and Engineering MSc Division Director in BES from 2004 to 2008. And during her tenure in BES, Dr. Kung led a number of strategic planning activities to define scientific research directions for science to technology pathways and was instrumental in the success of interagency collaborations, DOE research integration efforts, and international coordination activities. Under her leadership, BES pursued new funding modalities in advancing the science for the energy research agenda, including the establishment of Energy Frontier Research Centers, the EFRCs, really important to know about, and 2 energy innovation hubs, and successfully delivered nearly $2 billion of construction projects within the design scope, on time and on budget. Always a great phrase. Before joining the Department of Energy in 2002 as a program manager in MSc, Dr. Kung was a technical staff member and a project leader at Los Alamos National Laboratory, and her research focused primarily on nanoscale materials and high-temperature superconductivity. She's published approximately 100 refereed papers and given over 50 invited technical presentations. She received her PhD in Materials Science and Engineering with a minor in Applied and Engineering Physics from Cornell University. She's the recipient of numerous awards, and I'll end with the DOE Distinguished Postdoctoral Fellowship Award. And there's many others. Please look her up if you want to be even more impressed. But with that, let me turn this over to you, Dr. Kung, and your presentation today. And then we can moderate and take some questions perhaps at the end if there's enough time.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, everyone. It's really a great honor and pleasure for me to be here today. Let me quickly share my screen. Hopefully this will work. Can you all see my screen now? Hopefully. Yep. Okay. All right. So for some reason, it's not advancing. Let me stop sharing. I think I have a problem with my computer. Let me try sharing my screen again. Okay, and okay, all right, I think it's advancing. And Dan actually has just quickly summarized the Office of Science missions. I can pretty much skip this slide, but I do want to emphasize a very important point is that through our support of our mission in delivery of scientific discoveries, major scientific tools, There are three major aspects of our mission. One is absolutely first and foremost advancing the frontiers of science, and we are doing that through providing the largest federal support in physical sciences, stewarding many important key disciplines that are relevant to DOE's mission through direct support of students, engineers, and staff at our university and DOE labs, as well as using our support to advance DOE's mission, especially our clean energy and climate science mission. But neither of the supporting of science nor our youth-inspired DOE mission cannot be done without supporting the nation's scientists. And these are not only the users at our user facilities, but also the direct support for students and staff. So this is just a quick DOE Office of Science at a glance. Our 22 request is about 7.44 billion. Again, being the largest supporter of physical sciences in the US, we have a very large footprint in terms of funding support at institutions, universities, and labs, as well as direct support to researchers supporting and also users. For the funding, we actually pay a very close attention to the balance among the three major components of our budget. In terms of research, it's about 40% of our research goes towards supporting research, and out of those, close to 40% actually goes to supporting researchers at universities. And the remainder of the 60% are split between continue to support robust and vibrant operations as scientific user facilities, and also the need to continue to upgrade and build new facilities to make sure that we continue to stay at the absolute forefront of our field. So in terms of priorities in our FY22 request, we have identified a number of research investments that are aligned with the highest priorities of the administration, including climate science and clean energy and a few others. We also continue to make investments in workforce development, especially in broadening the participation from underrepresented group. And in addition to that, we also continue to support some of our highest priorities, from data to quantum information science to artificial intelligence and so forth. And I will actually have a number of slides to go into a bit more details. In addition to the research investment, we also think that it's critically important to make sure that the operations at DOE Office of Science laboratories stay safe, vibrant, and up to the modern standard. And with that, we need to strengthen, especially the single-purpose laboratories, to make them more diverse, multidisciplinary, but also take the advantage of the opportunity and resources we have in upgrading the core laboratory infrastructure, from utilities to laboratory workspace. It's also equally important to continue support the infrastructure improvement projects, as well as I mentioned already, ongoing construction and major item equipment, all very relevant to the interests of this community, which is the scientific user facilities. So I think for some reason, here it is. As I mentioned earlier, the three components that will continue to pay very close attention to are the facility operations, research, and projects. And we actually track them very closely in the FY20, 21, and 22, always trying to make sure that not a given sector can skew the emphasis on the others. And as shown on this particular slide, Office of Science budget has received very strong bipartisan support traditionally, and it's again reflected in our recent budget. In 2020, we're able to break the $7 billion mark and receiving $7 billion of enacted appropriation. And since then, our budget has grown slightly in FY21, and in FY 2022, we're delighted to see a very major increase, over $400 million, and the $7.44 billion of requests. And so far, we again are heartened to see the very strong support from both the House committee and also the Senate committee, with the marks very close to the very high request level. So we're continuing to watch very carefully the appropriation process in tracking the FY22 funding. So the next couple slides, I would like to quickly go over a number of our new initiatives, just to highlight the priorities. The first one I would like to show is the new initiative called Renew. It's reflecting reaching a new energy sciences workforce. As I mentioned earlier, through our demographics, we have learned that our current mechanisms in attracting, retaining workforce and performers do not seem to be very sufficient to really move the needle in increasing the participation of those underrepresented in the STEM field. So this particular initiative, which has been requested at $30 million level across multiple programs, aims to support competitively new traineeship awards, resulting in hands-on experience and mentoring, enhancing workforce diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is particularly important given that this seems to be an area that we have not had a lot of success, really broadening the participation from underrepresented group in the Office of Science research portfolio. In order to be able to competitively award these things, we need to first having a robust outreach activities to those underrepresented individuals and also institutions by structuring listening tours, roundtables to gain a better understanding about the challenges and also barriers to prevent us from reaching out to these community and be able to develop evidence-based approaches so we can then not only attract but also retain them in our portfolio. And I think we especially look forward to strong partnership with Office of Science laboratories, including the scientific user facilities, as well as partnering with minority survey institution, professional society, and so forth. Our goal is to be able to deliver these traineeship opportunity and research opportunity to really be able to increase the participation from the underrepresented group. And we'll also need to track closely all the post-traineeship outcomes to make sure that the approaches we're taking will be effective in increasing their participation. Another very important, for some reason, this is not advancing. Here you go. The next initiative I would like to quickly mention is in advanced microelectronics. For decades, many of you know that Office of Science has been not only the consumer, but really an engine of innovation contributing to microelectronics technologies. I think as we looked at the Moore's law leveling off, but also really the emergence of new computing and sensing workloads compounded by rapidly expanding data rates and volumes. And we actually see that every day at every single one of user facilities. This actually created an emergence and confluence of opportunities for us to really think about ways to redesign the innovation process of microelectronics. Armed with a very important and effective base research needs workshops in 2018, multiple of the programs in Office of Science are coming together to design a program to effectively think about how do we utilize this co-design innovation ecosystem where we can think about integration of materials, chemistry, synthesis, fabrication, devices, system architecture, algorithms, software, all integrated into a closely connected ecosystem in order for us to really design the next generation of microelectronics that not only will contribute to our high performance computing mission, as well as many of the electronics from sensors, detectors at our user facilities. And this is a huge opportunity. And we started to issue solicitation in 2021, multiple programs joining that. And in 2022, we're going to build on that investment and further advance the portfolio in advanced microelectronics. And hopefully this is an area that we can further partner with the scientific user facilities community. So the next initiative, again, of extremely high priority for Office of Science is in quantum information science. So DOE Office of Science is one of the key federal agencies being a leader in quantum information science. Essentially, we're pursuing the form of computing and information processing that may allow us to get around some of the physical limitations on the classical computing or classical sensing and networking. And this is an area that, again, has been informed by very robust community input. But our goal is to target DOE mission focus areas that we can leverage Office of Science unique strengths in almost all the programs represented here, from advanced scientific computing, basic energy sciences, biological environmental research, fusion, particle physics, nuclear physics, and even the isotope programs. I think it's very important for us to really capitalizing on our unique strengths by supporting fundamental science that underpin quantum computing, quantum sensing, simulation, communication, but also probably even more exciting, more important, to create the tools, equipment, and instrumentation that can go beyond what has currently been even previously been unimaginable. And collectively, we're hoping, especially working with our scientific user facilities community, to establish a DOE community resources for the whole scientific community to continue to advance the quantum information ecosystems to continue to innovate. The payoffs and impact could be tremendous if we can be able to make some really transformative advances in the quantum information science area. The next initiative, just very quickly, really actually has the user facility at its heart. I think in recent years, we have seen really a growing but broad recognition that integration of computational and data management resources with experimental and observational user facility along with our researchers really could hold tremendous potential to facilitate continued and transformative scientific discoveries and breakthroughs. However, what we have also witnessed is the complexity of data-intensive scientific research as we get not only the volume, but data rate, the complexity of the data. But how do we really integrate these computational high-performance networking resources, data tools, with the challenges that we face on a daily basis at our scientific user facilities, experimental, observational, with the user's needs? And that's really at the heart of this particular initiative to enrich the discovery and open doors for new scientific community to access DOE's national resources, user facilities, and data assets, but really turn them into a tremendous competitive advantage in turning data and computing into new knowledge to advance the overall DOE mission space. I believe the Advanced Scientific Computing Research Program is in the process of engaging with all the scientific user facilities. We really look forward to working with the community to really launching this very exciting, but also very timely and very important initiative. The next one is actually very timely as we're still in the midst of combating COVID. So if we learn something from the current COVID crisis, is the need to continue to position ourselves to not only continuing our fight against COVID, but really be prepared to respond to future bio threat, bio defense, and even bioeconomy opportunities, and the need to create a virtual platform to rapidly mobilize DOE's biosciences research and development assets in response to any given natural man-made crisis. Given that many of our DOE laboratory research resources, capabilities are distributed, I think actually lend themselves into a very natural virtual collaborative framework for us to quickly, rapidly mobilizing these capabilities. So what we have anticipated is to really unite and bring a network of high performance computing resources with experimental facilities such as X-ray, neutron, nano, and other observational facilities, with really a very nice and tried and true workflow that biological environmental research has piloted, is this collaborative design, build, test, learn workflows to leverage the databases of biological, chemical, and material data sets. We can also take advantage of medical isotopes. And this will actually be a very powerful and compelling network in order for us to generate next generation analytical technologies, user facility resources to really help the nation be successful in not only combating the current COVID crisis, but also future pandemics and other national crises. And this initiative is indeed informed and inspired by the recent success we have had in the National Virtual Biotechnology Laboratory, NVBL. Thanks to our previous director, Dr. Chris Fall, the NVBL was quickly launched in March of 2020, and we also are very grateful of congressional support, funding through the CARES Act, allowing us to quickly mobilize experts, resources, capabilities across all 17 of our laboratories, allowing us to support national, state, and local decision makers, and also allow us to collaborate with industry, universities, and other federal agencies. So just a little bit more details about the NVBL. So NVBL, thanks to the CARES Act funding, allow us to focus on 5 key topics. One is to address the supply chain bottlenecks, especially at the beginning of the COVID crisis. There's a severe shortage of masks, ventilators, and test kits. So NVBL worked with our laboratories to quickly mobilize the advanced manufacturing capability to address the shortage in some of these supply chain bottlenecks. Medical therapeutics, how do we utilize computational drug discovery, structural biology to stand up efforts to complement the vaccine development. Testing is a key area, not only from the testing, innovation in testing, but also addressing some of the test kits shortage. Understanding the fate and transport of virus in our environment to really inform the mitigation strategies by policymakers to put in measures to prevent the further spread of the virus, as well as the epidemiology modeling logistic support. And NVBL really has enjoyed tremendous success in the very short amount of time that we get to mobilize the 17 national laboratories. Some of the key notable successes, including determining the virus structure and detectability, working with other federal agencies, in this case, identifying quickly contaminated test kits and have the cost avoidance of very significant funding level. Accelerating the therapeutic treatments, as I mentioned, we really need to develop antiviral, antibody type of treatment to complement the vaccine, very successful vaccine deployment. And just as of end of last week, we actually learned that the recent announcement by Pfizer of this very successful antiviral drug that cut the hospitalization and severe deaths of COVID patients actually has a very strong connection utilizing CARES Act funding through NVBL and the advanced photon source at Argonne National Laboratory. I think that's really a great kudos to the team, and also something that the whole community can take a lot of pride and credit for. Additional successes including, as I mentioned earlier, critical supplies, the supply chain issue, and also understanding the fate and transport and epidemiology modeling to help inform decision policymakers on mitigation strategy. While COVID has really presented tremendous challenge to operation, we also took the opportunity to really understand and reflect on the challenges and trying to inform the future operation, especially of our scientific user facilities. And this is an opportunity for us to give a big thank you to Nigel, to Lijuan, to Stephen, as well as Ben and Talia for leading this very timely and very compelling roundtable to learn from the COVID era and establish a really exciting vision for the future of our scientific user facilities. In light of time, let me just quickly move on to, actually, before I do that, I do want to acknowledge that this is actually, this roundtable is a first in many sense. I think due to COVID, we actually figured out a way very innovatively do this asynchronous panel meetings over a span of 2 weeks, establishing a lot and achieving our goal. But also, I think this is something, if it's a silver lining, is allowing us to reach out to all 28 of our scientific user facilities, talking about earlier sharing best practices and lessons learned, convening all 28 of our facilities to really establish a robust but really exciting vision for the future. And let's just quickly go over some of the key opportunities identified by this roundtable. I think first and foremost, and very much aligned with this particular society and this meeting, is to transfer lessons learned and best practices between the different facilities. Given that we're really experiencing very severe disruption, we also recognize that there's a great opportunity, but it's also need to develop new tools to be able to engage and support the broader user communities in order to operationalize and some of these executional tools and infrastructure for us to be able to be effective in these virtual environments and beyond. Another thing that we notice is data is everything. Especially when we don't have a very major on-site presence at our scientific user facilities. How do we harmonize, coordinate, federate these data management tools and strategy? And very much related to the data is how do we deal with trainings, a lot of these digital products, and how do we really make them to be as effective and efficient to then deliver these training digital products without really major in-person interactions. This is also a great opportunity for us really reflect on the operations prior to COVID and whether we can take advantage of all these disruptions and come out on the other side to be even more efficient, more robust by making changes to our operation model. Of course, people is everything. How do we free staff who have been inundated with all these disruptions and heightened workload by capitalizing on automation and visualization? But also, we really cannot afford to leave our early career and our users behind, given all the disruptions created by COVID. This is really an excellent set of key opportunities, but also provided us with a very important first step for us to continue to work with our user facilities community to ensure that we continue to deliver the maximum impact and productivity to the whole science and technology ecosystem. In terms of time, I just want to make sure that I'm actually quickly running out of time, but I do want to share with you a number of additional high priorities and initiative. Just very quickly, I want to share with you this data initiative, which is actually very central to the scientific user community real large. Earlier this year, we launched a data initiative called the Pure Data Public Reusable Research Data Resources. And what does that mean? That means we are meaning data repositories, knowledge bases, analytic platforms, and other activities. And the reason we would like to highlight this particular data resource is oftentimes, if we look at the DOE portfolio, we are often known as providing research funding to the community. We're known to providing access through our user facilities. However, we also provide a strong stewardship responsibility of these community data sets, which are oftentimes overlooked and underappreciated. And we believe that this is the time for us to take the aim to make these data more public available and allowing us to highlight and improve the stewardship of SC supported community data efforts. So we actually had set about in establishing a very methodical way of looking at these data. It's not just any data. These data have to pass a very robust and highly scrutinized process. If we look at data repository, knowledge base, and analysis platforms, we have to first ask a few really key questions, whether these have been receiving sustained support, whether they're considered an authoritative provider of data or capabilities in these subject areas, whether they are publicly available, and after a very careful vetting, then recognize these data sets as strategic impact of our mission to be designated as a pure data resource for the community. And we believe that this is a very important step in making sure that we can not only enhance the communication of the science investment, but also provide a better way to steward these key assets, and most importantly, be able to do better science and contributing to the knowledge generation for the whole community. And I'm just delighted to announce the first set of pure data sets recognized here from the ARMS data to Joint Genome Institute, JGI Material Project, the Nuclear Data Center, particle data, and also the K-base, which I think the next talk will actually you'll be hearing a lot more on the K-base. And just a quick shout out to ARM, JGI, and also K-base. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to another talk that you'll be seeing later on this conference, which is the one by Carly Robinson. The Office of Scientific and Technical Information, OSTI, in Office of Science, also offer very valuable services to the community by assigning the digital object identifiers. And this year, earlier, AMSO and JGI began assigning DOIs to awarded a proposal. It really has the advantage for us to better track the award funding and attribution, allow us to get greater discovery, facilitates these linkages, and really creating these linkages to the Office of Science supported efforts. So for those of you who may be interested, feel free to listen to Carly's talk and also reaching out to OSTI if you're interested in these DOI service. So let me end by sharing some very exciting initiative. This is not just the Office of Science activity, but reflecting the whole department. Following the giant footstep of Moonshot, and given the urgency, the magnitude of climate crisis, the department has earlier launched the energy Earthshots. This activity initiative is aiming at accelerating breakthroughs of more abundant, affordable, and reliable clean energy solutions within the decade. So these are really ambitious goals, but sharing some key characteristics. For for example, to be able to make impact towards advancing greenhouse gas emission reduction and be able through that process demonstrating global leadership, be able to not only address the technology barriers, but also utilizing the significant scientific and R&D breakthroughs. And these Earthshots topics will also be centering on measurable, ambitious, but also decadal cost and performance target and a few other key characteristics. And we're at Office Science, we're very pleased to be joining a number of these Earthshots topics. The first one, which was launched earlier in July, is on the hydrogen with very clear cost, volume, and also timing goals. And a couple months later, the long duration storage energy, also again, ambitious, but also very well thought out goals in order to really address the grid scale energy storage in terms of the cost and also the duration and the timing. And the last one is actually just announced last week at COP26 by the Secretary, is the carbon negative shots. Again, with the scope here, but I really would like to use some of the language they in the part of the announcement, is this all hands on deck call for innovation. The Earthshots, as well as the other priorities initiatives identified earlier in my talk, really, in my view, represents an all hands on decks moment for our community. And this is really a call to actions to all of you, especially those of you in the Office of Science family. You offer tremendous competitive advantage because you are the steward of the really exciting cutting edge modern science for tools of science and technologies from high performance computing to observational facilities, light, neutron, and nano centers, accelerators, colliders, so many more. You really are the steward of these compelling tools, and let's work together to address some of these critical challenges facing humankind and our society and make the future a better tomorrow for not only our generation, but future generations. So with that, thank you all very much. I apologize for the several technical problems. If time allows, I would be happy to take a few questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kung. That was incredible, the amount of information you just covered, and a lot of inspiring, perhaps to some people, some new prompts on the priorities coming from the Biden administration and your office. We maybe have just 5 minutes here, and because Brandon Bro had put in a question, I'd love to read what he had to say here. Yes, related to Renew and other MSI, EPSCoR outreach efforts, are travel funds for users on the table? In our experience at the Molecular Foundry, there is more awareness and demand for user facilities in these communities than there's historically been realized because of the financial challenge of getting to and living in California long enough to benefit from the capabilities we offer. Well said, Brandon.
Well, that's a question that we have been grappling with for some time. I don't think there is a one answer to all or one solution to all. I think the key is really be able to broaden the participation, whether it's by providing direct research support through other means. I think we really would like to work with community to find the best solutions, not only in alignment with the process that we have award user access, but also in the bigger sense of the overall research funding support for the community. I think what Brandon has noted is really for some communities, accessing user facilities is really quite challenging. I would also add that even for these communities, and as we learn through these listening sessions, even being able to launch a user programs at their institution is challenging also. So let's think about a more holistic solution instead of fixing just one aspect of it. But I understand for our user facility, that is really a major challenge. So maybe we can work together and find some more holistic solutions to that issue.
All right. Well, then, thanks. I think that's going to put us up to time. And I know you have another appointment coming right up as well. Thank you for
Yes.
making a window for the Society for Science and User Research facilities in our network. Is there a particular staff person or best way to connect with you if people do have thoughts they would like to follow up with you about?
Right. So feel free to actually email me directly if you want. I do read emails and look forward to receiving input from the community. Feel free, please.
Okay. And I know
All right.
your email address is there on the Office of Science website. That's how
Yep.
I found you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll be starting the next session in just about 10 minutes. So please click on over to that and check out the information. I'll be looking forward to introducing Dr. Alicia Wood-Charlson, and we'll get into a discussion about K-base. Thanks, everybody.